Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ask a Muso podcast, brought to you by Jim's Cleaning, Butterham South. Haven't seen these boys in far too many moons, but without any further ado, I got 2/3 of the Halfwait crew. I'm throwing over to you boys. Introduce yourselves.
All right, how you going, man? My name is John, the singer of the band of Halfwait.
I'm Chris, the drummer and backup singer.
Well, it's nice to have 2/3 of you with us tonight because I was looking forward to this. I know when I did mention wanting to do a season 2 of the pod, I had to get you blokes on because it was about time we caught up. It had been far too long. I suppose I'll start with the band. How did that start? I don't know who wants to take the lead there, but
Me and Chris met when we were younger, when we were kids, because we grew up in pretty much the same area, the same street really, close by.
We worked at Macca's together.
Yeah, so, and in all of our friends, no one played music or liked music, to be honest, except for me and him. And Chris was into Blink-182, and I was into Nirvana and stuff like that. I was starting to get into that kind of music. And we just, I used to come over to Chris's house and we start jamming and just literally playing whatever I think it was like the Puff Daddy Missing You song and stuff like that.
Yeah, a bit of Foo Fighters.
And then
we just connected. We just took off straight away.
I've never played with a drummer that I felt like that comfortable. He knew where I was going vocally, and it was just fun. At that point,
even some of the earlier songs, like In Between, that was written within 2-3 minutes. It was just bang, done.
But
so from that, we just kind of used that same formula and just carried on from there.
Yeah, in terms of the name and stuff like that, we went back and forth. I mean,
there are a few other ones.
It's a pretty complex name when you think about it.
Halfway.
But
don't put too much thought into
it. It's basically got to do with a YouTube video and us trying to beat that. We recorded our first EP with a different bassist at the time.
Our first bassist out of our 5.
that's a story. We're going to circle back to that.
Yeah, so we done that at, I can't remember the studio's name, but the EP was One Life, One Chance. And we recorded, 5 tracks there. Not long after that, I think I ended up in a bit of trouble. And I went to a bit of legal trouble and things like that. Went to jail for 3 months.
Yeah, just after our demo and just before our first EP.
Yeah. And
that happened.
Basically, I was on curfew and parole through that period, going to court and stuff like that. And we got it lifted on every Thursday. We could go out, and we had a booking at the Civic Hotel in the city, which I'm not sure is around anymore, but it was back then, and it was pretty awesome, to be honest. And that's where we started playing live. That was our first live performance there, and we went on to play there every Thursday. All that stuff with my court all worked itself out, and I just carried on with music from that point. A mate of both mine and Chris's, which she's actually wearing the jumper of, in support. Levi suddenly passed away in 2012, which was a bit of a shock to all of us, and it kind of took a bit of a turn where I got back in touch with Chris after a couple of years, and
so I was 2-year hiatus,
and pretty much with the EP, when we sat down and we're like, we're gonna do this about the King of the West and kind of drive that forever theme, and basically, man, we just haven't stopped.
Just powered on from there.
Every challenge that's come up upon us, and there's been heaps, bro.
It's been pretty slow for us, within touring and stuff like that, but
absolutely. And I feel like around that King of the West period is when I sort of found you guys and jumped onto that. I was always looking for local music and stuff like that, and I wanted something new. I was doing a lot of stuff with a bunch of kids, really, and yes, I was in high school and doing all that thing and around that time, but I wanted something a bit more rock solid, and everyone was sort of doing the same thing, and I wanted to sort of break out, do something a little different, and maybe be interested in music that not everyone else was interested in for a change, and those sorts of things. And I just really went through a really big wave in high school of wanting to go local first. Who are there's lots of cool band names that everyone knows, but who are some people that are doing something a bit different that are just around the corner? And obviously it felt like it was just around the corner many moons ago. Now it feels like we're in different countries, but it's like the idea of having the Halfwait sound. That was something that I loved that, and I always, tried to manifest us eventually getting to play together, which we eventually did.
Oh, you did. How good was that?
Like, how good was that? Like, sort of talk me through that tour.
Completely freezing.
Yep, I don't miss Melbourne.
That was an epic day.
It was so...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great to meet you guys too, and the atmosphere that you guys had going on there at the Wrangler studio and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was just...
And your body cam. I love that body cam.
Oh, the body cam. Oh, that's got quite a feature. I put that in my Q&A video I released on YouTube the other day, and that gets quite a feature. I look back at that occasionally in my folder from the official tour when you came and stuff, and that was quite an awesome afternoon, quite a good day, and it was nice to sort of have a plan, and then it actually worked. It all actually happened. You came, we conquered.
I think if we could do one thing again though, I'd do it at night.
Yes.
Everyone was saying, why would you do a gig at 12 in the day?
And not only that, we played the night, I think, Before that in Melbourne, and before that in Canberra, and we were meant to stay in Canberra. And I had adrenaline after the gig, and we had nowhere to stay, and there was nowhere to go. And I'm like, Melbourne's not too far away. Like,
you're a fucking idiot. Oh yeah, I'll just hop in the car, lads. We'll just go for a little quick drop down to the shops.
I reckon my adrenaline can carry me there. It's not too far. And then I'm driving. Literally everyone's falling asleep, bar Sandy, Sanford, the old Sanford. And
Sandy.
We eventually got there, but by the time I got there, I hadn't slept, man, at all. So I had like a quick kind of sleep in the middle there. And
not while you're driving.
No, like before that first gig at Melbourne, and then the second one was early in the morning, and I just remember it being freezing, man, But it turned out to be really good atmosphere in that.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, when I think about the show we did at Wrangler, I didn't think, geez, John was asleep. So if it comes to, it wasn't noticeable. I didn't pick up on it. So if that's helpful, at least.
Yeah, and I was like,
yeah, no, it is a good sort of setup the way you three work. So how long have the three of you been a thing? How long's that been together in the current form?
This is what happened. We were at Chris's house, and we had a bassist at the time that was not. He didn't really want to be in the band, I don't think. And
that's Nathan for the Forever EP.
Yeah, and so we were in a bit of a trouble because we didn't know any other musicians in our friend list, and so I looked up on Gumtree one day. I typed in bassist or whatever, and I ended up saving a number in my phone saying bassist from Gumtree, and didn't ring it. Patched it up with Nathan for about 6 months and kept going, and then was feeling the pressure of trying to move on and just like break through. And I randomly, Chris was on the way home from work or something like that, and I randomly rang this number, the Gumtree number, bassist.
He was under guitarist.
Yeah, under guitarist.
He put a guitarist ad out there.
And he answered, and he sounded like he worked in a corporate office, and he was like maybe 40 or 50. So I didn't say anything. I hung up the phone. I then rang back 2 days later, and he goes, "Why'd you hang on the phone with me, man?" I'm like, "Oh, sorry, dude. I thought you were old, man." Mm-hmm. And he goes, and I told him about Halfwait, whatnot. Then the first day I picked him up for practice, Chris was at rehearsal setting up and that, and I picked Nick up from
nervous as
Parramatta. Never met this guy in my life.
I'm thinking, I hope our fifth bassist is our best bassist.
Yeah, and we talked about getting energy and all this kind of stuff, and then he came into Parramatta and he just started talking to me, and it's like I knew him for like 10 years, man.
Yeah.
And I just met him in the car, and Talon was calling kind of like, "What's he like?" kind of thing, and I'm like, "Nah, sweet, man, sweet." I was trying to throw it off, but I knew that regardless if he could play bass or anything.
Yeah, he's like an old friend.
We'll teach him if we have
we'll
to.
We'll teach him. Like, he was just that.
But
good a human.
yeah.
His that personality, man. Like he just fit in, like it was meant. Like words cannot describe it.
It breaks up our little bubble thing.
Yeah, and I suppose it's nice. Like when you have a lot of chemistry. Obviously, you guys go way back. There's a lot of chemistry there. Sometimes it can be not just hard for you to find someone that matches or can play with that, but also someone that doesn't feel like, oh, these boys are very together. I feel like an outsider. Especially when there's only three of you. It can feel like, well, these guys are like brothers and I'm just some guy. I don't feel comfortable. But if it clicks, like it clearly does, and it demonstrates that it does with the three of you, it makes sense.
And like even though, like I haven't spoken to Nick in months, I haven't seen him in a year. But like, next thing something's on, he's there. Yeah, he's always got our back.
I'll jump over to like some just like quick fire sort of questions for each of you. I'll start with you, Chris. What's your favourite song of the set to play?
Favourite song? I'd probably have to be either Leave or Now and the After.
Yeah, good, because I was going to say Now and the After. That's my favourite one to play.
That's probably when I go the hardest, and then I nearly pass out at the end.
Your most memorable gig, John?
Probably the Wrangler, to be honest.
Has to be Wrangler.
Or Wrangler, close by finishing.
Just because it was like a...
Nimbin was close there, although it was different.
Wrangler was like a family vibe. You know, it just felt like...
Yeah, Wrangler felt like we were home. Everything came together for that day. Yeah. It just locked in and it was a perfect day.
When you were talking about Nick and the story of meeting someone that you have essentially known for 10 years after knowing them for 10 minutes, that is what I felt. I know we'd spoken in ages, like it hadn't been like we chatted on Gumtree once and suddenly we met each other. We obviously manifested this and we'd been speaking for years, but like, it was like, oh, these are just the boys. It's just like, oh, it's like I hadn't seen you in weeks and you just popped up to the shops and it's like, oh, fancy seeing you here. And that's instantly what I thought of when you talked about Nick. I was like, that's what we had, what we shared that day, and that has always stuck in my head.
Like when I came up to you in the car, it felt like I already knew you for years. And I think you've been a fan for like probably 2 years by then.
It's hard sometimes with like, in the music, you don't obviously understand it, like in the music industry, it's hard to like, some people see other people in bands and whatnot as unapproachable, maybe because of their look or whatever what kind of music they play genre-wise or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, we're people, and first and foremost, we're people.
For sure. And I fully get that. And I think it's so important to have that sort of connection where now more than ever, everyone's sort of just like, you do music, I do music. The specifics don't matter because I love what you're doing and we're connecting.
That's what music's about, and coming together. And although we haven't been able to come together lately, it even shows more that we've adapted in different ways to try to come together the best way possible.
Yeah.
Everyone has a part in a band. No one's part's more important than anyone else's part. Yeah. If someone doesn't play their part,
teamwork.
It's teamwork. And understanding the attributions of the members of the team, everyone's got their specific part. It works like there's no problems. Everyone's putting together for the better of that performance or the song or the whatever it is. Everyone's got a key role.
It's it's connection. But for those who are silly and haven't yet heard the Halfwait sound, Chris, you can start. How would you define the Halfwait sound for anyone who hasn't heard it?
Our old stuff, I guess, got more of a grungy vibe, like in the sounds, like within the guitars, and not so much the voice. The voice is more on the, the pop rock spectrum. But as in sounds, I guess, it's got a grungy vibe. But our newer stuff, like post the official, it's more directed towards pop rock. So Live My Life, it triggers onto the merch that you are wearing, Chris. Tell me a little bit about that. LML, this is a company that John started, Live My Life. So it's a promotion for the single as well, and like a standalone business. But this one I'm wearing now, this is the King of the West version. That's dedicated to our mate Levi.
Oh, awesome.
As a business, it hasn't really made much money in terms of that kind of thing, but it brought a creative side to me, like another side that was nulled down from music from the COVID and all that, performing and whatever.
I guess it's a result. It's a result of COVID.
Yeah, it's a result of COVID.
Really?
I've never used my phone to like download different apps and that, and I just started doing it. I started getting better and better, sending them to Chris and that. But yeah, I've got we had a partnership with the brand Represent Merchandise, where they do the fulfilling, so it's good so that
so it's all just made to order.
Made to order, so I don't have to put in any kind of money or anything like that. It's just kind of like, if he, say for example, if he buys that, it gets shipped out to him, and they get customer support and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
so not like the shirt you're wearing, we had like 1,000 shirts that day.
Yes.
I think you got one, your dad got one.
I got one of the OGs. Dad and I have one of the OGs.
I always remember the photo of you and your dad standing back to back.
There's so much going on at the moment, in our lives too,
Yeah.
but in the world, so it's so hard to really catch on to anything with all the news and all that going on, because it's crazy. And we've released My Past, which is going pretty well, I guess, and I'm just happy that it's released, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
finally out.
And now we can move on to like Live My Life is coming up in November the 26th, and we're just really excited for everyone to kind of embrace it and listen, check it out. But in terms of like moving forward past that, me and Chris have been writing. We've been writing throughout the whole period, since the official.
Yeah, never stopped.
We've never stopped writing.
If we could continue recording from the official or any time, we'd probably have, I don't know, 10 albums by now, I think. Easy. But it all happens for a reason. I think we consolidate all the songs, pick the best ones, and just roll with them.
We narrow them down, we work on them, we jam them out, we do all the things, and they just, like the official, like, we had the next album already done before we released the official.
And some of those songs in the official, like the last one, Home, that was just a little acoustic riff that Frenchie came up with, like we were 15, something like that. And it just rolled off from there. Yeah,
that's Will in TRS often says stuff like that. He's like, oh yeah, I was sitting on Stop That Train since I was like 10, and tomorrow morning was when I got like drunk once when I was in high school, and it's just like, but he brought it back to life for the end.
That's like the best songs happen like that.
Absolutely. It's not planned.
Yeah, like Nothing Else Matters, Metallica. He had that song for like 10 years.
Yeah, so every song, like,
happening.
And I listen to a lot of rap too, man, to be honest with you, and that resonates in a lot of my writing too, because I write a lot of stuff that I see, that I connect to, that others can connect to. That's the main thing, and that I feel that others can relate to, really. That because everyone can relate to different things based off us thing, but yeah, it's just I write about things that happen in my life and different things like that, and yeah, it just turns out kind of like that. But it's a better routine than just throwing in random things that mean nothing in general.
Nothing at all.
For sure. And anyone who hasn't heard the old stuff, the new stuff, the new stuff, you get yourself around it, because these are super accessible blokes, and it's a super accessible sound, and it's not what everyone's doing, and it's nice to hear a bit of change, a bit of difference, and it's nice to support some New South Wales legends. To finish with you guys, I want to get everyone to know, where can everyone find you, where can everyone hear your stuff, plug your socials and anything you got going on at the moment.
You can find us on Instagram, on Halfwait Official, Spotify, on the Halfwait,
YouTube,
the Vivo channel.
Yeah, that's where our new single is.
We're going to be recording another 5-track EP and just release as singles. And
the next single we got is an acoustic song.
Yeah.
That I just recorded on my own. So it's just me playing it, and I'll just put some drum samples over it, and French will sing it.
I've still do vocals to it and that, and Yeah, like
But it'll be most different Halfwait song to date.
Well, thanks for having a chat with me, lads. It was nice to catch up and get a bit more of the story with 2/3 of you lads, because no, it was well overdue.
no,
Oh,
it was
for
good.
sure,
It
man.
was even
Thank
good
you.
that we rang earlier because we had to get the whole podcast room set
Yeah, we
up.
set
I
it
mean,
up.
Exactly. Thank you for exploiting my forgetfulness of my forgetfulness of daylight savings. Now that I'm a proper Queenslander, so I apologise for that.
Oh, yeah, Queenslander.
no, it's all right. But hopefully all goes well with everything, and we're
Yeah,
back.
thanks, man.
We're back normal.
Thanks for your support, You're a legend.
Yeah, and we love what you're doing, man.
Yeah.
We support that 100%.
Even when you don't see us, man, we're still there.
I love that, guys. You've always been very big supporters of me, and I want to extend that to you a million times over. So, when you're doing a tour, when TRS are doing a tour, it would only be appropriate if we played together, because I can't wait.
Oh, I swear to
Alrighty then, well, that's another episode of the Ask a Muso podcast. Awesome chat with the Halfwait boys. Check them out. Find them on all the places you can find things. Have a listen and get ready for all the new tracks that are coming out for this new wave, this new chapter of the Halfwait sound. So, YouTube, that's the place we're going to find these eps. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.